Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto, Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto, Willies here. We are going to have a great program for you today. Welcome, or should I say, good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. And of course, good morning to the entire country. But you know what? We also have to say good morning to everybody. Anyway, folks, we're going to have a great show for you today. And you know what? Before we go any further, let's move it on to the geniuses in the studio.
Well, this genius doesn't have any headset this morning, so let me borrow that from you, Jack. It's been kind of a crazy couple of days here. When a computer system crashes, there are all kinds of crazy problems that happen when you bring it back up. And that's what's happening this morning, some crazy stuff. So it sounds like you've got kind of a delay there in what you're listening to. If you're listening to me on your phone, which is the only way I can talk to you, I can't talk to you, and our intercom system is not working today. So we're going to be working on that behind the scenes. And that's about what I've got for you. Jack, what you got?
Well, a heartless Trump pauses payment to PEPFAR, an organization that delivers life-saving treatment of HIV to millions worldwide. I guess doing good things for the world isn't going to be a part of this administration's agenda.
And there you have it. Go ahead and take it, Egberto.
All right. Can you guys still hear me just fine?
We can.
All right. Good. Anyway, I'm getting some back feed, but I'm going to have to figure out how to do that in the interim. So anyhow, folks, we're going to have a great show for you today. We are going to be talking about what has happened to the HIV, what the government has done. We're going to be talking about also, and let me pull that feed up. It's called as follows: Trump pauses HIV support overseas, and Trump's crypto scam threatens the economy and his power. So, what does it all mean? Let's go ahead and start with the HIV. And it goes as follows. If you remember the pandemic, what happened during the pandemic is that something happened in China. We don't exactly know how the spread, whether it's meat markets, whether it is a lab. We don't know, but it is not, right now, Donald Trump people are trying to say it's the labs that caused this issue. But let me tell you.
And you're on.
All right, folks, sorry about that. We're still, we had a major issue with power supplies, et cetera, yesterday. And you know what? Things have to get reconfigured, et cetera. But this is live radio. But you know what? And it's for every time something goes wrong, we like to make a good pitch and remind folks about one thing. This is why we need investments in our public, our community radio, so that we are not always on the fringe because of the limited supply of items, etc. So, folks, please remember, we're going to continue the program right now. We're doing it as best as we can. We're going to continue the program right now. But do remember this, okay? It is important that you support us at 713-526-5738, extension number 1. And that will allow you to support and make sure that we can keep improving the system. Okay, back to the program itself now. Trump pauses HIV support overseas, and Trump crypto scam threatens the economy and his own power. For those of you that are listening to us on Substack as well as on Instagram or whatever. The sound is not going to be there, but you can always go to kpft.org, kpft.org for the sound. I'm sorry that we're doing that this morning. We don't have a choice because of the technical difficulties at the studio. Anyhow, let's talk about the HIV, what Trump has done with the HIV testing now. And let me pull up the article that I really, really want to get to. Trump pauses disbursement to programs supplying HIV treatment worldwide. The Trump administration has halted disbursement of funds from a program that supplies most of treatment for HIV in Africa and developing countries worldwide for at least 90 days. The action stems from President Trump's executive order on foreign aid, which directs all government divisions with foreign development assistance programs to stop dispersing funds to countries and organizations until they can be reviewed. That includes the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, known as PEPFAR, a $7.5 billion program overseen by the State Department officials, were told in a memo Wednesday obtained by the New York Times. In a separate directive on Friday, also viewed by the Times, officials were informed that although the initial review of foreign aid is intended to be completed within 85 days, final decisions might take up to 180 days. All right, let's pause for a minute. Let's talk about why COVID-19 was as bad as it was. Leadership. I repeat, leadership. We knew, the government knew about COVID-19 months before we knew about it. We knew that there was a disease going around, an airborne disease going around for some time. But we figured, not we, the Trump administration figured if they are quiet about it, it'll just go away. Again, this is what happens when you have a government or the leadership in government who is not only not science-based, but is not, I don't want to say smart enough, but simply refuses to accept science. Now, when COVID came about, there are a lot of things that good leadership could have done to prevent the millions of people who died. A lot of things that they could have done. We knew that the genesis of this pandemic, it wasn't a pandemic then, we knew the genesis of these infections were coming in from China, coming in from that area of the world. We had the opportunity here to start taking preventative measures. And, many people attempted and tried to do these preventative measures, wear masks, do all kinds of things that other countries did to mitigate the spread of this disease. But America, the richest countries, purportedly the smartest country, purportedly the most advanced countries, we had internal fights. Science versus stupidity. Science versus ignorance. And ignorance won for a very long time. And now we have a new Trump administration, and we have two things. Just a week into the administration, and he has done two things that puts our health and could potentially create another crisis. One, communication at the national NIH is forbidden. They cannot have interdepartmental communications or communications with the outside world about what's going on. And we know we're having a very serious infection with birds right now. Very serious infection with birds that have jumped to many different animals, squirrels, cows, birds, chickens, ducks, and 80-something Americans have already died of being infected from animal to human transition. Now they're talking about, well, we don't know if it transmits between humans and humans yet. But our departments are right now on hiatus. They can't communicate among each other. Why not? Edict from the Fuhrer, edict from Donald Trump. Nothing based on science. But his departments with knowledge cannot speak. Chaos in these departments. Now, HIV. These programs that are preventative around the world, America is saying, we want the rest of the world uninfected, not infected or unable to spread the disease. So what do we want to do? Whether you're a poor country or not, we want to make sure that we can fight HIV wherever HIV is. You know why? Americans travel all over the world. And you know, Americans have a whole lot of fun all over the world. And so we want all over the world to be safe. Because Americans as well, we should, from a moral and a humanity standpoint, we should want the entire world to be safe. But if you want to look at it from a perspective of selfishness, self-saving, we want to make sure that where Americans go, they're safe. But no, Trump says, we're thinking about cutting all these programs, including some of the programs where we help people not get HIV or help people control HIV. Folks, this is what we elected. It's not like we haven't seen this game before. Donald Trump caused an excess of over 400,000 Americans to die because of his incompetence. We have a derelict media that because they hadn't informed Americans of how derelict their president was, who continued to make Americans die, Americans quite didn't realize how much fault should have gone to the president for the killing that occurred in America. We had silly fights about whether masks work or not. We had adjacent counties in Kansas that were test cases, where we had a county that it put mask requirements on, and we had counties that had laissez-faire. You could do as you please. And the death rates in the laissez-faire counties were through the roof, and the death rates in the counties where masks were required actually had decline in infections. Not only that, we knew that the people that listened to the right-wing stations died at a much higher rate than the people who didn't. The people who took precautions lived, the people who didn't died. These are statements of facts that our derelict media should have been out there making sure people know that this wasn't conjecture, this was fact. Look at your dead neighbors. And we are about, or we are running the risk of living through this one
recording in
more
progress
time. One more time. Let's go ahead and go on to John.
Egberto.
Yes,
Good
sir.
morning.
Good morning, sir.
I'm calling you, and I've hesitated to call anybody, or even, I haven't watched a bit of news on TV, any of the media, since the election, just because at this point I'm pretty much lost. If it wasn't for your program,
I want to do one thing. I think we got our other connection up, so I want to get off the phone and check a few things. Hold 1 second.
Sure.
Am I correct that we're back online with our complete system? Okay, great.
Yes,
all right. Thank you very much. I tell you guys, before I go to you, John, I just want to commend our engineers in the studio for being for the persistence and making sure that things work correctly. All right, let's go, John. Come on in.
Well, we'll get back to the confusion going through the last couple of days, and it's the same confusion I've since the election. And I'm amazed.
John, wait, John, hold a
still
second, because we have one more thing that we need to clean up, and that is we need to kill that. There we go. All right, go ahead.
There you go. I called because I haven't called in and haven't watched the media, because I think you learn more by listening than you do by talking. Mm-hmm. And I'm amazed at how many people call into your program and try to fool you by moving their words around in their questions to you to try to catch you off guard. It is amazing.
Exactly.
But I like your program because you don't allow people to call in and just lie, or just to call in and just say whatever it is that they say, whether it's ignorant or not. And that's what you're talking about when you're talking about the bird flu and pandemics and how the Trump administration botched it all. And then the media botched the truth more. And it got to the point where I don't trust the main media. I do listen to people like Robert Reich, and I do listen to a few other programs that call themselves, like you pointed out yesterday, progressive. Quit calling yourself liberal. Quit using the word liberal. Start using the word progressive. It's something that should have happened years ago. Just like you should have never used the word abortion. It should have been women's health rights. And just the simple words like that make a big difference in how people approach things. And I don't know where to go. I don't know who to listen to. I'm picking and choosing slowly. That's why it's taken me this long to even call into your program, because you're the one of the programs that I can actually count on. I listen to The Guardian. I listen to the BBC, and I listen to individuals like Robert Reich and a few others. But I am kind of lost. I just gave your book to my son about how to talk to your friends and family. This far right wing, we're still struggling with it. But the fear that I feel, I'm finding out that more and more people in this country that I still have connections to have the same fears I have about, I don't know what to do financially. I don't know where I'm going. And I'm a retired, disabled person. I can't work. So I have to depend on what I put into Medicare and Social Security for 40 years to live. And now I'm scared. I don't know what to do. So I'm having to do all kind of studies and try to read this and read that to figure out where do I go? And so I hesitated to call you, but I see the ignorance that you're talking about, but it is something that has been in our society that I know as a child, the Russians' propaganda and that kind of chaos and anarchy have been attempting for 40, 50, 60 years. And it's finally started working because they found their patsy. And
let me just say this, John. I want to say this. First of all, I don't want you to go through your life fearful, because there are a lot of us that are keeping a watch on what's going on. And yes, they're going to have their wins, but we are going to win. Ultimately, we are going to win the war, because ultimately, I don't say this blindly. I was wrong about America and how many people would have rejected Trump. I was wrong. And the reason I was wrong is I had more faith in the lack of gullibility of the American population. I was wrong. Okay. That many didn't see that not voting was a vote. That many didn't see that because you have certain prejudices, you can't vote for that person would harm not that person. Kamala Harris is still rich. Her husband is still rich, right? The politics between two rich people running. These people are going to be fine. It is us who are left to pick up. So when we allow bad decisions to elect bad people, it's on us. So I look at it as from a host point of view, I look at it as my failure. And those of us who do this kind of work should look at it as our failure not to have gotten to enough folk to make the right, inform them appropriately. I don't want to simply outright blame the, let's say, MAGA or anything like that. That's why I actually wrote that book, How to Talk. It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relative Friends and Neighbors. It irks me when I see people that simply vote against your own interests. I was speaking to Reverend Barber, and Reverend Barber said, Egberto, you have to think a little bit differently. These people are voting their interests. They're voting what they think their interests are. And it is for us to actually change what they believe those interests are based on reality. And that is where we're at. Now, you said something about your Social Security and Medicare. Look, we're going to be fighting like hell. The one thing Trump and those guys are going to know is they can't mess with too many of you, right? Because the one thing you do is vote. Okay, so they have to kind of work around the edges where that is concerned. But the other reason I say we shouldn't have fear is fear prevents us from having agency. Fear prevents us from activating. The way we mitigate fear is to be doing something to move forward. And that's what I preach. We're always going to be moving forward. And brother, when it comes to what to read, I'm going to tell you this. I can't tell you specifically. I can tell you that there are good reporters on NBC, CBS, ABC, even Fox News. You just have to be discerning on who to listen to. And that's the magic. Yeah, discern.
That's a tough thing. Yeah, that's a tough thing to do because I'm a very active person and have been and have taught my kids, even when they were adolescents, to watch the news, watch the world, pay attention to what's around you, be mindful of your society. But so many of us aren't, and they just. And I've had that same conversation that you're talking about, that, well, I'm not going to vote, I'm going to protest. Well, the fact that you don't vote means that you did vote. You made a decision.
Exactly.
And not voting is a choice. Yeah, it is. It is. Listen,
we lost about, I think it was about 11 million people in the last vote. And that 11 million people were biased towards the progressive side. Think about that.
They didn't like women. They didn't vote for men. They didn't like women. They didn't like blacks. They didn't like women. And this is another mistake I think they made, is they put too much emphasis on Kamala Harris's husband, and some people still hate Jews. And there's still people that think Jews is a race, not a religion.
I got to move on. I got to go to the next caller, but let me just finish with this, John. I want to finish with one thing. And remember one other thing. A lot of folks, because they had one thing that they didn't like what the Biden administration did, they liked everything. They loved everything else. But one thing that Kamala didn't say, whether it's be the Palestinian issue, whether it be something with a color, it's one thing. And they put the country at jeopardy again because of that one thing they didn't like. That they couldn't vote for Trump. But they didn't vote for Kamala. I'm going to show Kamala I'm not going to vote for her. And in doing so, they harmed themselves. Thank you, my brother. I got to go to the next caller. Let's go to Tag.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. All right, come on in, Tag.
Couple quick things about these viral infections that we're seeing. The one I want to talk a minute about Wuhan, but the other one, I think that's in the history books, is the difference in 1918 with the Spanish flu between Philadelphia and Kansas City, I guess, or anyway, where one city they didn't do anything, the other city did isolation and masks, and really fended off a lot of that back when they had nothing. So I think the history is there already of what can be done. But the Wuhan issue was really interesting to me. That lab was a lab that was run by the World Health Organization, and it was built by World Health. And Peter Dansk was involved. And we had our people there managing or working that lab. And Trump came in and he cut funding for that lab, and he pulled all our people out of there. Now, what do you expect's going to happen? It's just a complete failure on Trump that whole thing fell apart anyway. So,
but you know what is also true, Tag, also true that once this virus is out there, right, there are things that you can do. People raise hell about stopping society for a week. If this virus burns out in a week, that was a smart thing to do. If people followed the rules, because you could burn it out. But again, science over stupidity. Continue, my brother.
Well, like with the cruise ships that came in, Trump held them off for a while, and then he let them come in, and everybody just went home and spread that part of it all over the place.
Exactly.
The ban from China, of people coming in from China, it had already spread to Italy and Switzerland, and people were coming from Italy and Switzerland like crazy and spreading around. So
there you go.
Just to have a ban on Chinese, that was completely ineffective. But the main thing is that when you have a lab that's studying this specific issue, and you say we're going to cut funding for that lab and take out all the people that are there managing this problem and trying to figure it out so that it doesn't happen, when you cut that funding and you close that and then just leave it up to the Chinese, who had really virtually nothing to do with it, and then what's going to happen with what they're studying in that lab? It's going to go crazy anyway. So this whole thing started because of Trump anyway, and people don't have a clue how it started. So with that,
and you know what? I'm glad.
Egberto.
I'm glad that you're saying that. I got to go, Tag, but I'm glad that you point out again the dereliction of the mainstream media, and that is something that, one of the things that John just spoke about as well. But Tag, give me a quick one. I need to go to Tatey.
Well, I think I've said most of it. We can't kill the horse in the middle of the river. People talk about switching horses in the middle of the river. Trump just downright shoots the horse and tries to deal with the current, and you can't do that. You've got to continue to follow through on getting these issues resolved, and not just say, well, we aren't going to do this. And that's why we had COVID, because Trump closed the Wuhan lab.
Thank you, brother. We'll talk.
Thanks.
We'll talk later. Thank you, my brother. All right, let's go to Tatey. Come on in, Tatey. Tatey, are you there? Or Katie, Tatey, I'm not sure. Just everybody say hello. Let's see if you're there. Okay, I guess line 5 is not there anymore. Tatey is not there. All right, let's go to David.
Well, I'm sorry, Egberto. Katie's not here. Can I leave a message?
Talk to me, David.
Hey, well, let's see. A couple of things. That previous caller talking about cities' performance in the 1918 flu. San Francisco, in the very beginning, lived up to all of the scientific standards, and for about a good part of a year, San Francisco was the safest city in 1918. But all of a sudden, everybody decided to go out and party, and it came back with a fury. And by the time that was over, San Francisco was the worst city in America. So we learned in the COVID flu, our health department had tracks of that, and we went out of our way to do the right thing. So it's amazing. You're certainly aware of the Magna Carta. That was when the people finally were able to. That was in England in 1100s. That the people were finally able to demand of the king to look out for them. That the king pretended that God put him in charge to look out after our lives, but it turned out that the king was just taking all the taxes and having a party with it, and he wasn't reinvesting, and he wasn't doing anything to make the lives of the common people any better, and there was no pretense that God put him in charge. And so they rounded him up and dragged him to a parley, and they made him sign the Magna Carta saying that he would live up to it and that future kings would. Now, that's 1,000 years ago, and Donald Trump is all of a sudden pretending that he has no duty to care, that he can just fire the inspectors. He can just fire anybody at any time, and he can be a bigot, and he can use his bigotry at the taxpayer expense. So I think I've said on your show that I believe Donald Trump is an S&M freak. He's like a whips and chains kind of guy, and he likes giving pain to people, and so he's going to use our taxes. It's bad enough that these old kings could party at the taxpayer expense, but he's going to do whips and chains at the taxpayer expense. And not only is that not duty to care, but there's no performance. There's no taxation with representation. There's no equal justice. There's no equal protections. So Donald Trump is trying to defy what the people of 1,000 years ago were able to do and come up with a Magna Carta. So, and then one of the last things I'd add. Well,
real quick, David.
Just killing witnesses. What's to say that Donald Trump wouldn't tell ICE to go attack a certain house and just happen to do a bad job of it and kill a witness? The Donald Trump, I contend he's organized crime, and he's got a lot of people he'd like to get rid of. And by using these accidental police shootings and whatnot, he could kill some witnesses. So I'm not eager to see that.
Everybody's worried about what just occurred in Indiana with that police who shot one of the folks that got out. So we never know. Thank you very much, David. Let's go ahead and go to, thank you, brother. Let's go to, I think, Patrick. Come on in, Patrick.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, my brother. Talk to me.
All right. In the beginning, you pointed out that people like to throw conspiracies around about whether it was lab grown or what have you. Pine Bluff, Arkansas, we have a lot of bioweapons and chemical weapons on store. Other nations, including China and Russia, have developed these weapons, and if they do get out, it's going to be a major problem. They were intended to kill masses of people. Now, while those time bombs are ticking, they're pretty safe, but I mean they're out there, and given enough time, and anything's possible. So while we have situations like that, we're going to cut the world. Leave the World Health Organization for no other reason, but it made the guy that left it look bad. It doesn't matter whether something started in the lab or if it was homegrown. All the decisions around it to stop it were wrong because we put no effort into it. We put no effort into it because we had no leadership that thought about it. And we're talking about helping people with AIDS. Last president that refused to help people with AIDS was Ronald Reagan. I'd like to point that out. That could have been contained decades ago, but we had hate in our heart for people, and we thought that we were dishing out what somebody deserved because they had a different lifestyle than we do, and now we're all suffering from it. We're making decisions based on hate. We're making decisions based on hate, and we need to stop it. Last Friday, somebody tried to compare giving the basic human rights to transgender as being the same as letting the rest of the world do what they want with us. It's two totally different things. We set up laws that kept regular people that look masculine from getting hurt in bathrooms, and we set up laws to help people from getting injured in bathrooms by people that are very vindictive. We brought this on ourselves. We need to stop hating.
I agree 100%, Patrick. We need to stop hating. Hey, you know what? And it's so much easier to love. It's so much easier to care. It's so much easier to smile.
It feels a lot better.
I mean, it's amazing. But thank you very much, Patrick. I'll see you at 3, my brother. Thank you for being here. Let's go to Patty. Come on in, Patty, line number 3.
Good morning. I have a name for John when he asked who to listen to. Heather Cox Richardson. She's a historian.
Very good. Yes.
And she does a wonderful job of dispelling the news of the day, distilling it into a letter each night. As a historian, she's looking for what will be important 100 years from now. And she also does at least once or twice a week a video. And she's easy to access: Facebook, YouTube, Substack, email, really letting us know what we can do. And she says we can't change history, the past. We can change the future history. And a really uplifting, powerful voice for that.
And you know what else is great about Heather Cox? She actually, I think it's Heather Cox Richardson. She actually gives you, she write a long prose, and she don't put hyperlinks in her prose in general, but at the end of her article, she gives you a whole lot of material that you can actually qualify and verify what she's written. Very good resource. You're absolutely right, Patty. I read her probably twice a week, and it's always worthwhile reading. I read it, the one that she brought out this morning. Actually, she posted
wonderful.
it around 11. Yes, exactly. She spoke about not only Colombia, but she spoke about some other issues there as well. So very good point, folks. And that is Heather Cox Richardson, folks, that you want to find. Anything else, Patty, you want to put out real quick?
No, thank you for everything you do and the wonderful voices I hear on your show.
Thank you so kindly. You have a wonderful rest of your day, Patty. All right, let's go to Brother Bruce. Come on in, Bruce.
Good morning, Egberto. When I woke up this morning, I was going to call in on COVID, but everybody else has already addressed that. I only have maybe one thing to say about that is the way they treated Anthony Fauci, who's one of my heroes, is going to make other people in the scientific community a little bit nervous about speaking up. And that bothers me a lot. This has spread to 500 herds of dairy cattle. It's something we ought to be very, very, very nervous about. If it spreads to humans, it could make COVID look like a kid's birthday party. This thing is bad, and we need to watch it. If there's an ember on your roof, you don't argue about where it came from. You put the thing out before your house catches fire. The other thing I want you to address sometime this week, you may not have time today, is what I call the Ponzi scheme of cryptocurrency. Trump's trying to pull a fast one on.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Hey, Bruce, that was the second subject of the day. I'm going to hope that I can get at 5 minutes at the end to do it because it is very important. Continue, brother.
No, I want to give you time back for other people. Thank you so much for listening.
All right. You have a wonderful day, sir. All right. Let's go to Jim. Come on in, Jim.
Am I on?
Yes, sir.
Hello. All right. Good morning, Egberto. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. Talk to me, brother Jim.
Okay. Earlier this morning, you said most people don't know their best interest. We got to make them see what their best interest is. And
I did say that.
I don't think you understand is that many people have different interests, and not all of our interests are the same. I
agree.
And our votes, we vote for.
I agree.
Our votes depend on what our separate interests and what we need or want. If Democrats.
Sir, I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. I think maybe you misunderstood, and maybe I wasn't clear in what I meant by making some people know their interests. It is never going to be your interest to inject a bacteria into your body, and it will never be in my interest to inject a bacteria into my body. We all have common interests, irrespective of our ideologies, irrespective of our prejudices, etc. Won't you agree with that, sir?
Yeah, I can agree with that.
And those are the interests I'm talking about. I'm not talking about ideological interests like religion. I'm not talking about any of that. I really don't care about any of those things. What I do care about is humanity and the things that make you and I, the commonality between you and me. So if you heard anything other than that, I hope I've corrected myself.
Okay.
Is there anything else, sir?
Yeah, nah, I'm good, man. But thank you for calling me in. I hope you have a good day.
You have a wonderful day, sir. All right, let's go to Moses. Come on in, Moses.
Good morning, brother.
Good morning, sis.
To what I'm saying, so we can use good time. Now, here's the topic for me. If liquor made us drunk, let's drink more Clorox to get sober. That is the headline of the Trump administration in this time. Number, when the rest of the world, after he pulled us out of the World Health Organization, when the rest of the world is rejoicing in health, Americans will be desolate. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Let them think about it. Next, yesterday we remembered the Holocaust. We had 4 years of the bungling efforts of America under Donald Trump regime of hate and destruction of the well-being of the citizens. We have again the mirror of the South Koreans who saw the danger of dictatorship coming upon them and moved mightily to push the trash out of their way. We saw what other nations did to save themselves from hell. Now, what are we facing? We are facing the sudden arrival of dictatorship in America. Now, what we also facing, the church which put him in there, he goes and he moons the church, and he sends his goons to arrest God in the church. America, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. Stand up like the South Koreans and tell the devil.
Oh, wow. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, Moses, you know what? You just made my day. And, I should have highlighted that more. How amazing. We need to look at what South Korea did when their dictator tried to be a dictator. They en masse made sure to put that person in their place and got him eventually impeached. I mean, excellent. Thank you for bringing that up, Moses. Anyway, thank you so kindly for calling in, Moses. And you have go ahead.
Everybody's saying, I'm afraid, I'm afraid, I'm afraid. That's what the bully wants, for you to be afraid. Stand up in his face and tell him, here, my sonny boy. Bye.
And you know what, Moses? He's also a paper tiger. A paper tiger. When the Chamboin, the president of Mexico, fronted him for one of the silly things he said, he got quiet quick before he tried to find a way to respond. He cannot handle it. He's a paper tiger. Thank you so kindly, Moses.
Okay,
you have a perfect rest of your day.
Let me say this last thing. No American, like you said, wants to see themselves being treated the way the people in Israel, in Palestine, are being treated. No Americans want to see themselves being treated like that. So people think. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Moses. Let's go to Brian. Come on in, Brian.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. How's life treating you?
We're doing fine, my brother. Talk to me.
Okay. Now, it just came out Saturday. The CIA gave out a report that they suppressed it during the Trump administration, that there is a good possibility that COVID-19 originated from a weapons lab in Wuhan. I know for a fact that there was a Chinese citizen that was working for a level 4 virology lab in Canada. She was fired for stealing the computers that were given to her and replacing them with her own. She was then found in, guess what? Wuhan, China. So, it's coming out. Trump's gonna he's gonna see that the answer gets out there.
That's I don't know how to answer that, but I'm going to ask you one question. Do you think Trump lies a lot or not? I'm just your thought.
No,
do
I
you
don't.
think Trump lies a lot?
No, I don't.
Okay, good.
No, you don't.
All right, thank you. You have a wonderful day, Brian. I got to go talk about crypto. Amazing. Amazing. You don't think Trump lies a lot? Have a good day. All right, folks. I'm glad that John or Bruce earlier brought up cryptocurrency and I'm glad I get a little bit of time to speak about it. Trump's cryptocurrency scam threatens the economy and his own power. This is by Robert Reich. As of Friday, the Trump cryptocurrency meme coins, the $sign Trump and the $sign Melania cryptocurrency coins had a combined market value of $6 billion. I repeat, out of thin air, Donald Trump created a cryptocurrency in his name and in Melania's name, and the value of that non-existent currency has given Trump and Melania immediately $6 billion. What did they do for that? How did they make that money? Doing nothing. They just said, I have a crypto dollar and in my name and Melania's name. And that cryptocurrency, that imaginary money has given me $6 billion. As you all know, Donald, one of the reasons that these cryptocurrency guys are going up to Donald Trump is, by the way, folks, cryptocurrency is backed by nothing. Okay, it's a computer algorithm where all these imaginary monies are kept on a ledger on computers all over the world. It takes because it has to be kept on ledgers all over the world. That means it takes a lot of electricity to keep these ledgers available to be checked and searched, right? So cryptocurrency it's nothing, but it burns a lot of energy to watch this imaginary money. And by the way, for those who don't understand what I'm saying, not to worry, Trump doesn't either. And cryptocurrency is not real money. Okay? Now, how do they want to turn cryptocurrency into real money? They have an idea. They have an idea, folks. You know, a lot of people would tell you the dollar isn't real money because for every dollar, there isn't a piece of gold that it backs. And I've always thought that was silly to say a piece of gold has a certain dollar value. Why did I think that was always silly? Because you can't eat a dollar. You can't do anything with a dollar. It's just a temporary storage of money. And why should a piece of gold have more be used as a temporary storage? Why not just use a group of blessed rocks? We could also say these are blessed rocks, and these blessed rocks back the dollar. No different than saying gold backs the dollar because gold is a scarce resource. All right. What really makes sense is exactly how the United States does it. And that is the dollar is backed by the faith in the powerful United States of America. That's what makes a dollar because it has the backing of all of us, we, the people of the United States. That is controlled by us, we the people, our government. Well, it's not really our government. It's indirectly through the Treasury. There's a whole lot of stuff on that, but we don't have to go into that technicality right now. But having Trump into the administration now, what do they want to do? Here's what they want to do, people. They want the government to guarantee cryptocurrency by buying the government, United States government, your tax dollars invested in several $1 billion worth of cryptocurrency. And what that does is it finally gives cryptocurrency the backing that it doesn't have. It's no longer just a computer algorithm. The cryptocurrency created by the private sector that's based on nothing. In other words, Trump got $6 billion from doing absolutely nothing, no work, nothing, nada. Just saying, I've got a cryptocurrency and it's worth $6 billion. That's all it is. And when I tell you that's all it is, folks, I am not lying to you. You can look it up. It has no value. It just has a value that people want to pay for the Melania and the Trump. That's how they got another $6 billion. And now that he's president, he wants to have the government invest in a certain back-end store for that cryptocurrency. In other words, you will now be able to trade nothing for dollars. Nothing for dollars. It's the biggest theft, the tax scheme of your tax dollars. And we have elected the president that's going to take your tax dollars. And if Congress is silly enough to follow, turn your tax dollars into cryptocurrency so that those guys who are in the crypto market can go ahead and say, hey, I want to exchange. Trump can now say, I'm going to exchange my $6 billion worth of cryptocurrency into real dollars, and I become a billionaire from doing absolutely nothing. When I talk to you all about the rich and the wealthy having access to all these instruments where they make money not by doing anything, but on your backs, people say, oh, but we're a capitalist country. You are so un-American. No, I am very American. What is un-American is to be a thief. Well, that is exactly what cryptocurrency is all about. Is it a scam? Of course it's a scam. Of course it's a scam. It's always a scam waiting for the next sucker to pay a little bit more for. So I can do all kind of illegal transactions in cryptocurrency, exchange cryptocurrency for cocaine, exchange it, and then the next buyer of the next iteration of that cryptocurrency that I sell gets turned immediately into money. We abstract the evil. We abstract the selling of cocaine. We abstract the selling of dope. We abstract the theft. And after we've abstracted that theft and turned it into cryptocurrency, we exchange it with the United States government, who now says, I can give you dollars. You get it? Of course, you could also do it with the suckers who buy the next iteration of cryptocurrency. I would never believe I would live to see a day where the American population has been made so gullible to allow these things to occur and to have elected somebody who will continue to do this until the house of cards fall. And then we have to bail out all these thugs once again, like we bailed them out. You know, we give hell to the petty thief, to that guy that goes into the 7-Eleven and steals a piece of gum. We give hell to that piece of person who does all these different things. But the real thugs in this country are those people who come up with these financial scams. The MAGA fight is on. We have the nationalists versus the globalists, and all working together, or they were supposed to be working together. It's not happening. Bannon hates whom again? Elon Musk, and they're fighting. I want you to listen to this piece here, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Don't look now, but there is new trouble in MAGA paradise between the two biggest, most powerful, best funded factions of the actual MAGA political movement. As a student of this movement, I can explain, and there's lots of coverage that plays out how the initial spark, the thing that brought this into public, was a disagreement over the issue of work permits called H-1B visas. They allow companies in the United States to hire foreign-born talent for specialized roles on a short-term basis. Steve Bannon's side and coalition is in one corner. Elon Musk's is pitted against them on the other side. It's a feud that boiled over on social media, one that escalated again over the weekend in the pages of none other than an Italian newspaper, of course. Steve Bannon attacking Elon Musk, suggesting this, quote, he will not have full access to the White House. He will be like any other person. Quote, he is a truly evil guy. This is Bannon saying this about Elon Musk. Quote, a very bad guy. I made it my personal thing to take this guy down, end quote. Musk also said, Steve Bannon also said about Musk that he should, quote, go back to South Africa. Quote, why do we have South Africans, the most racist people on earth, white South Africans? We have them making any comments at all on what goes on in the United States. Take me inside why Steve Bannon hates Elon Musk so much, and then talk a little bit about Musk's efforts to retaliate and take some of Bannon's allies off of the platform Musk runs, X.
Yeah, some of this goes back a long way. These guys were going at each other, I think, back in 2018. I think the interesting thing about this, Nicole, because you have to be judicious in discussing the MAGA infighting, because these are a lot of children and, having a food fight in a cafeteria at some level. And, Bannon's mad at so-and-so and so-and-so's mad at Bannon. It's kind of like,
let me pass it to the studio.
A man with a briefcase can steal more money than a man with a gun. And we are seeing it right now. Jack says he doesn't have anything. And, well, we got the tin cans and string holding up, so I don't have anything either. Egberto, another wonderful show. And fortunately, we got it on the air, which is pretty amazing.
Look, I want to thank you and Jack. Let me tell you something, guys. Folks listening to this to this program, please call 713-526-5738, extension 1. And support this station, because we have guys like Howard, and I mean this from the depths of my heart, guys like Howard who make this stuff possible. Howard and Jack. Anyway, folks, love you all. You can get the rest of the program. A lot more is there at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willies.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.